Welcome back. Welcome to the Moonlit Circle. If you're new here, I'm Gwendie Belle Moone, author, storyteller, celestial traveler, and student of all things transformation. So let's do some healing. You may have noticed from the posts on Facebook this week that it's been a pretty heavy week, but also a very beautiful week if we take time to look at it in a different light. Two very strong women I know, my mom and a dear friend's mother, are both currently walking the road of end-of-life care. They've each in their own time and in their own way reached a kind of peace that absolutely humbles me. They may not know themselves exactly what waits for them on the other side, but they are fully prepared to meet that. And that, friends, is its own kind of courage. And I fully support the decision of these two women. And I hope that you can send some wonderful positive thoughts to family and loved ones who are maybe not as on board with their decision as they would like. So, endings always have terrified me. I've been exposed to some pretty traumatic endings through my lifetime. So they still do. Endings still kind of tend to traumatize and terrify me. But watching these two women choose peace over fear really reminds me that every ending is also a doorway. And so tonight, I thought we could step through a doorway together as we close a chapter on something. So let's get started today with the writing journey itself. I'm sure a lot of you are very interested to hear how that's been going. And please know that there is actually a book to follow these videos and these Facebook posts. Writing Look at the Moon, which is the title of the series itself, has always been about confronting shadows. And, that could be the shadows of grief, memory, truth, what have you. But, sitting with my mom now several times, having discussions about the potential for end-of-life care, it's like the story itself has really turned back to face me. So as some of you may know, the first book actually tackles my father's passing. And when my dad passed away unexpectedly, I was actually 13 years old. And there were gaps at that time in my understanding of the situation. Things that, no one explained or knew how to explain. Feelings that I tucked away because they were just too big in the moment to look at and to stare down as a confused 13-year-old. There were questions that I just didn't dare ask because I couldn't handle seeing everyone's sad eyes looking at me so intently. And I honestly felt like a little bit of a sideshow freak for quite some time as adults who were supposed to know what to do and what to say and how to make me feel better didn't. And they just had those sad eyes, and it was really overwhelming. With my grief and my utter confusion on full display for everyone to gawk at, it wasn't a pleasant experience. I thought naively that working in nursing would actually teach me how to handle loss. And spoiler alert, that is not the case. It didn't. It just taught me really how to manage other people's losses while never fully touching my own. So good job. But now, every little quiet moment beside my mom where I can see her mind going 90 to nothing, just asking questions that, no one's going to be able to answer for her. things that people can't fill the gaps for her, and she's confused, and she's getting those sad eyes, and in her grief and in her utter confusion, now she's the one who feels like everyone's gawking, and she's on full display. And I can sympathize with that. I'm learning now, by experiencing this with her, that, what I couldn't grasp then as a confused 13-year-old girl was that letting go, or allowing someone else to let go, can actually be a form of love. Endings can be a form of love. I'm learning that the sympathetic eyes are uncomfortable when the loss is unprocessed inside. But they do tend to soften when you turn and face it, when you turn and face the reality of your situation. That's when the sympathetic eyes that seem so piercing and gawking in your confusion can be a form of comfort and a form of love. All right, so I do also want to give you guys an update on the branding journey, just Gwendie's, presence on the internet and how that's been going. So, as I've been letting go of control of some aspects of my personal life, I've also been learning how to build something new with intention. And as you guys might remember, I am releasing my career in nursing to explore this new avenue of getting these stories out into the world. People have been telling me my whole life I need to write a book, and I'm ready. And, my husband is supporting this endeavor, and we are very blessed to be in a position to where we can do this. And so I'm going to give this my all, and I want to take it seriously. And so I will share that part of the journey with you guys as well. I've actually, in giving this some intention, I wanted to make sure that I learned from some good people in the industry on what I should be doing. I've never made YouTube videos. I've never hosted newsletters through Substack. I've never, had an author page on Facebook. These are all brand new endeavors for me. I've just recently learned about, reading groups and art groups and book clubs and things of that nature that might assist me in my writing journey along the way. And it's fabulous. There's an entire industry, but I'm learning piece by piece. And so I want to do this the right way and really come into this with a good bit of education from some of the masters of the industry. So I did actually recently sign up for a course with a YouTube personality, an internet personality named Ashley Brianna Eve. She's a brilliant marketing mind here on the interwebs, and she teaches creators how to work with platforms like YouTube and how to build PR the right way and launch businesses and with integrity. And she's actually got a mix of strategies and soul that just really fits the Moonlit Circle energy. So I'm really glad that I came across her, and I'm going to be utilizing her for figuring out Gwendie's directive and presentation and what this presents as for you guys. So for me, this phase of the brand isn't really about chasing numbers. I'm not just trying to build up, people who are following me. It's about clarity. I want to make sure that you understand my message and understanding what I want this space to mean, not only for me, but also for you. And I do give a lot of artistic integrity over to the audience. You guys let me know what you like to hear. Let me know, for instance, like on the Sunday sky maps, is it too much information? Do you want me to pull it back? I'm happy to hear the feedback and carve out space for what everybody is wanting and looking for. So I'm here learning and, how to share my work, how to share my story, and eventually how to share my books in a way that feels aligned and honest and really authentic. But let's face it, there's really no point in building something of this magnitude if it doesn't feel like home. I'm essentially replacing a career in nursing with a career in authorship, and I want to make sure that this feels good and this feels right for me. So I want the circle to feel like another home for you guys as well, and I want you to help me build it in that manner. So, thanks. So, since you're here, I do want to offer you something. I don't want you supporting me without me in turn giving you something. And so, along the way, we're gonna be learning little ceremonies that you can incorporate into your day to give a little meaning and significance to certain events in your life. And we'll talk about journal prompting, and we're doing that over on Facebook, where Sunday through Thursday we have a topic about growth and transformation, and we really dive into a journal prompt that might help you to recognize your own journey a little bit easier and how you can process that. But today, on theme, let's talk about letting go. That's, really letting go, like not just pretending to let go, not the fluffy Instagram quote kind of letting go, but like the kind where you have to unclench something you've been gripping for years or decades, that kind of letting go. When I was preparing for weight loss surgery, I actually fought it really hard initially. I told myself that I could fix it naturally in an effort to avoid going under the knife subconsciously. And so at that time, I actually worked with Dr. Tamika Henry. She is wonderful. Dr. Henry, I can't speak highly enough about her. She's a functional medicine specialist at Unlimited Health Institute out of Southern California. You can look her up. She taught me so much about what healthy means. And I'm a nurse. I thought I knew healthy. But she showed me that I honestly did not, and that most mainstream education on health and nutrition and hormones and liver function, and how your body carries stress, and even food sensitivities. These things are not common knowledge, and you really have to do the extra work and put in the extra effort to figure these things out about yourself. I learned, for instance, that I had food sensitivities that were keeping my GI system agitated and my whole body inflamed 24/7, that I had never associated with food. And I spent quite a bit of time with Dr. Henry. I think our program lasted for maybe 9, 10 months. And she actually gave me my movement and my energy back. I was really kind of at my wit's end when I met with Dr. Henry, because I was so inflamed with systemic inflammation and autoimmune processes that were going haywire, that I was actually confined to the couch. And when I ambulated, I had to use a cane. A cane. And that's wild to me. And I had somewhat resigned myself to that. And just being in pain all the time. But again, I was avoiding moving forward with bariatric surgery because I thought, oh, let me see if I can do this without surgery. Spoiler alert again, I could not. I did ultimately have surgery. But working with Dr. Henry was really enlightening, and I'm glad that I did that prior to the gastric sleeve that I had, because it taught me things about food that I never would have learned otherwise, things about my body and my stress and my hormones and how they're all integrated. But even with all that progress, I was still hundreds of pounds overweight. I had lost about 20 pounds through Dr. Henry's program. But what I really gained with her program was just mobility and functionality and drive and energy. Let me tell you, a good liver cleanse is on point if you are feeling sluggish. So just wanted to throw that out there. But I realized eventually that I wasn't just scared of surgery. It wasn't just about surgery. I'm a nurse. I know what surgery looks like. I know what after surgery looks like. I knew what all the expectations were. I knew how safe it was. I knew how common it was. I was actually scared to say goodbye to the habit of comforting myself through food. That's what I was scared of. I knew that once I pulled that plug, once I went under anesthesia, I would wake up and nothing would ever be the same again. I would never again be able to stuff 3 bowls of pasta. Like, that would never happen for me again. Physically, it's impossible. And that fear kept me stagnant for a whole nother year before I moved forward with surgery. And sometimes, staying stuck feels safer than saying goodbye. And that's what I wanted to relay to you guys, that we don't have to look at, these strong women in our lives and their decision to move forward with end of life care as the end all be all of moving forward in the face of fear and really leaning into an ending. We've got those opportunities all over. This one was a big one for me, where I had to say goodbye to something that was comforting and meaningful to me in order to pull myself out of my stagnation and move forward with life. So here's your journal prompt for tonight. I'll have a Sunday post as well, but if you're interested, we can take this and we can lean into this topic as well for the Moonlit Circle. What are you clinging to that's keeping you from your next chapter? I think we've talked about this on a couple of different ways on our Facebook Moonlit Circle prompts over the course of the last week, just because I've been deep in my feels. But it never hurts to ask that same question in a couple of different ways. It could help to trigger something for you. So is it a story about who you were before? Is it a story about a habit that you have, a relationship, a version of yourself that feels comfortable but no longer true? That's what it was for me. Write it down and see if you can name the exact moment when you stopped moving forward because you were afraid to let go. It was really hard for me to admit that to myself, that it wasn't the surgery that I was afraid of. It wasn't making sure that there were no other alternatives before I took the risk of going under anesthesia. That wasn't what I was afraid of, but it was hard to admit to myself. I was afraid of losing my good friend food. That was hard to say to myself. And so, see if you can really dig deep. Look at your shadow self. Look deep in. See what's triggering you. Because endings don't have to mean failure. And I really want you to walk away with that. They mean that you're making space for the next thing to bloom. That good old saying about someone closes a door, there's a window open somewhere. So keep that in mind and really take a good look at what you're afraid to let go of. Okay, guys. So just like last week, I actually am going to be putting out a Gwendie's Sunday sky map, and I wanted to give you a little heads up on what you're going to see on it tonight. So let's take a pause and look upwards to the sky. So this week, the moon is actually in her waning gibbous state phase and retreating from her full brilliance when she came out as the harvest supermoon last week. She's actually exhaling, letting her light rest, and that's our invitation too, to exhale what no longer serves. So a good use of the moon's energy when it's waning like this is releasing and letting go. And you know, ironically, when it's waxing, that's when we're pulling in intention and bringing in positive thought. But right now is a fantastic phase for releasing, letting go, moving on, endings, closures, reflection on what was or what happened, release, surrender, those types of things. Also, the harvest moon itself, I don't know if I spoke on this last week, but it actually reminds us that endings feed us. The endings, what we've gathered still nourishes us. We've gathered everything that we need to from a cycle, and that continues to nourish us even as we let it go. So things that you're letting go, these are lessons. You're not just letting it go entirely. You're keeping the lessons from events in your life and then releasing them and letting them go on to the next person. And also with the moon phase, we are approaching the third quarter, and that tends to ask us to integrate our lessons and finish cycles cleanly. So now is when you can take a look around for, your last cycle, and you can say, what lesson did I learn, and where can I apply this in my life to make sure that, everything's nice and tidy by the end of the cycle. That's a fun way that I take a look at the moon cycles, the comings and goings of intentions and energies, and being able to release and create along with the cycles. It just tends to give a little more energy to those moments. Yeah, so let's take a look at the sky map tonight. I'll have that posted for you this evening. You'll actually find a special galactic ritual written out for the week. It's a little moonlit moment you can do tonight or anytime that you need to release something heavy. It's just something to put a little ceremony, a little specialness behind having some serious, focused, intentional thought. So enjoy that. Let me know how you guys like it. And if anyone has a picture of their setup, definitely post it. If tonight's conversation resonated with you, please take a moment to breathe. Really breathe through this notion of letting go. Let that exhale remind you that you're allowed to start again. You are allowed to end something, regardless of how meaningful, regardless of how important. If it's no longer serving you, you have the option to end and start anew. Drop a comment below. What's one thing you're finally ready to release? Maybe it's fear, maybe it's guilt, maybe it's the illusion of control, maybe it's turning off the TV because we just can't handle the news anymore. Whatever it is, speak it into the circle, speak it into existence. We'll hold it gently with you. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell to stay a part of this glowing little corner of the internet. Thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate these early circles and what you guys are helping me to form and develop here. I really appreciate your feedback, my sweet Moonlit Circle. And remember, every ending is just a new doorway, and you already have the key. Speaking of keys, watch for keys as motifs in our journal postings on Facebook. They are definitely a little key that might give you some insight into the Look at the Moon book series that's coming out. So just a little hint there. So everybody, keep dreaming, keep wandering, and keep glowing. I'll see you next time. Bye.